everybody. Welcome to Trailer Punk Podcast. My name is Justin Hamlin. Today, I have the honor of having the talented BaoBou from the UK. Born in, you're Dutch, is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Wow, God, that's amazing. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Is there anything you want to promote before we jump right in? I know you got a best of on Bandcamp. Yeah, just tell people what you got going on.
Yeah, not something that. Actually, people usually say I did this recently, and
Mhm.
for me, it really feels a bit longer ago. But I had a live slash unplugged album which came out in October.
Yes.
So that's only 4 months, but for me it really feels like it's so far away, and
Yes.
I don't have anything really planned yet.
Mhm.
I'm collecting songs, but I'm giving myself time to make sure that I have something good for the next album, something that I'm really proud of. I've not set a time frame. By the time I have, let's say, 20 songs or so, I will try to make another album.
That's cool.
Or maybe I will change my mind because that never happens. And maybe I'll have an
Make goals.
EP or maybe even a single. I don't know.
Yeah.
When it, I'll figure it out when it feels right.
Which direction are you going currently? Like musically, like are you kind of shifting genres? Are you kind of exploring sort of the a different songwriting process? Tell me kind of what you got going on right now.
Yeah, very good questions. I really enjoyed the process of making something as bare bones as possible in the unplugged section. And when I was talking to people, I said my next album should be something punk, just screaming guitars and simple songs, 2.5 minutes, um, and that sort of didn't really work out because every time I try to write a song like this, it still turns out to be, some 5 minute progressive rock or
Yeah.
something else entirely. Or I figure out that, I should really play it on the piano and then it becomes something else.
Yeah.
I'm trying to write some more political songs because
Okay.
there are things that I feel strongly about.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that writing the political stuff is not really my thing. So, I stop halfway and start a new song. So um, I I'm trying to leave it open.
Mhm.
Trying to get the things as they come to me. Sometimes you have the inspiration, and then I'll see where it takes me. The interesting thing is I've had some strong ideas about what I wanted to do,
Mhm.
and then I brought out an EP in I think 24,
Mhm.
the Artesian Grove EP,
Okay.
which was much more electronic.
Hmm.
And that's sort of really not the kind of thing that I would usually do.
Right.
And it was really fun. And it also had a relatively good reception. People seem to like it. So it's interesting how sometimes you get inspired to do something out of your normal wheelhouse, and that can become really interesting. If you always try to do the same stuff, then it gets boring. So it's the people that challenge you that make it more interesting.
That's cool. And what were you like? What have you been like listening to kind of rejuvenate that sort of influence and inspiration for the songwriting process? Or do you just kind of
I
politically like seeing everything going on and going, oh yeah, I'm gonna start writing that down, you know?
I find that the more I listen to other artists, the less I write.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So I have been listening quite a bit recently also to new music, and I try to find music from, let's say, the 2020s even, because there's so much good music.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many people my age who say, oh, there's no good music anymore, and then you find that there's amazing music.
I know. Not true. Right.
That's not true at all. And not just there's also a fantastic indie community, and with you in the Midwest, I'm sure it's the same here in London. There's so many people that make amazing music and that really blow you away.
Yep.
But also, even if you go to Spotify or you Google and you say sounds like Radiohead or sounds like this, and then there's so much new music that's really amazing to listen to, and that's inspiring also in a different way. But I find that the more I listen to that, then it doesn't give me the spark for a new song. And if I don't listen to somebody else's music, then suddenly I wake up and I have this idea. This is the rhythm. This is the line. This is the riff. This is what I need to play right now, and that leads to new songs for me.
I always had that issue where if I'm trying to go, let me find inspiration. I don't want it to feel like a copy paste situation where I'm listening to an
Yes.
artist and then suddenly you're mimicking that sort of rhythm or that beat or whatever, or even just the lyrically, because I'll listen to something and go, okay, I want to write songs. You start listening to something else and you're going, okay, now I sound like that. So it's hard to go to kind of just listen to something and then kind of let it marinate in your head a little bit and then
Yeah.
going, okay, how can I get something and kind of filter it through myself into my music and everything. So I could see where that
Yeah.
do that. And even for me, when I do my podcasts, I try and go, let me try and listen to other podcasts and try and go, is there, but then I'm like, I don't want to replicate something. I want to keep it original. And I think that's important is that we want to be original artists and not just be a copy paste of everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, if you go in a completely different direction, it might give you ideas, right?
Good.
Because, okay, if you listen to, let's say, another music podcast, it's too easy to copy it. But if maybe you listen to, I don't know, an art podcast or
Mhm.
cars or something else entirely, then suddenly you go like, oh, wait, now I know what I need to do.
That's smart.
And I had that with yeah if for instance if I listen to classical music and then shut down my brain, and then sometimes you get ideas like, wait, because in classical music not every song is first chorus bridge first chorus,
Yeah.
and they,
Yeah.
they have different structures, and then suddenly you go, oh wait, I could do this.
Right. Is that kind of how you were with your electronic EP, where you kind of went into another direction? You were kind of listening to something and going, because electronic music can kind of have that sort of classical kind of vibe to it, where you're listening just something instrumental and it kind of influences you and to go into another. Like, did you kind of have that where you go, let me kind of step away from the sort of prog and the sort of indie sound and kind of go into this sort of new style? Tell me about that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I I really try to for instance to build a song from the beat, which is something that's not really how I work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start from a beat and you try to make something that sounds really different,
Yeah.
because I if I start from a beat, then maybe I would use a normal drum kit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start from different kind of sounds, I had one song where I started from all kind of jungle e sounds,
Like a drum,
and
like the drum and
yeah,
bass type sound. Yeah.
no, even like monkey screams and,
Oh, like actual
and
jungle, like yeah,
bongos, and
yeah.
yeah, in
That's
that case,
awesome.
and it became really interesting, and I found some weird organ sound that's a sample. With
Wow.
samples are not really my thing, but
Yeah.
I used it and it became a really interesting song. So it's sometimes
That's
yeah,
awesome. No, it's so funny
yeah.
because I was like, I'm thinking the UK jungle, like the drum and bass type, and you're going, no, 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 jungle,
Exactly.
like
No, no,
actual.
yeah, that would also have made sense. No, but actually, that's also a good example. I tried to
Yeah.
make a drum and bass song for
Yes.
somebody who
Mhm.
they like drum and bass, and it's the furthest away from drum and bass, but it it still inspired me. So yeah,
That's so cool. Tell me
that's good.
about your sort of musical journey. Tell me about the beginning and kind of work your way up. Tell me about what you were listening to and even just why'd you pick up an instrument in the first place?
Right. So I grew up in the Netherlands. My parents, they were both very much into classical music. They didn't like pop music at all. There was a piano at home. There's a picture where I could barely stand, and I was already trying to play the piano. Obviously, very bad. Um, I taught myself how to read music from a book that I later discovered was in German, not in Dutch. So my conclusion: I probably could read music before I could read proper
Oh,
uh, books.
that's awesome.
As a kid, I was always trying to make music.
Mhm.
And then somehow, when I went to study, I didn't have access to instruments anymore, and I mostly forgot about it. And even though I had an acoustic at some point, I didn't really do anything.
Mhm.
And then 30 years later, when I was 49, I saw a YouTube video of a looper pedal.
Oh,
And that suddenly this light bulb went on in my brain and said, hey, but this is what I was always missing. Because when, as a kid, when I was trying to write music or make music, you always need somebody else because I played piano and a bit of violin, but then you need somebody else to play at least one of those. And you can't always find those people. But once you have a looper pedal, you can play some chords and you can, I don't have to explain to you.
oh yeah, I
But
get
this
that.
was this magic moment.
Big boom.
That's it,
Yeah,
finally.
that's awesome.
And I started making music. I got a guitar. I added the bass. I added the keyboard. Then I wanted to have something with more tracks, a multi-track looper pedal. And somebody said, no, no, no. What you need is Ableton Live because then you can loop, but you can also record,
Yeah.
and you can, make it into songs. And again, light bulb moment. Okay, yes, that's what I wanted to do. And so this went from, just noodling a bit and just having a bit of fun. I didn't have any kind of ambitions. And suddenly the noodles and the riffs became something that were 1.5 minute songs, 2 minute songs. Um, I started taking lessons how to do this recording because I was recording way too hot and I was doing this wrong and that wrong, and I didn't know what delay and reverb was, etc.
Yeah.
So I was learning bit by bit, but it was still, just to have a bit of fun. And then at a certain point, there was something that I felt I needed to. There were certain some lyrics that I needed to write,
Mm,
and the lyrics turned into a song, and I felt I needed to sing it, but I don't have a singing voice, so I was very, hesitant of doing this.
to learning
But
that.
once I'd done it, I thought, okay, this is not the worst thing. And then I saw an interview with the Foo Fighters.
Oh, okay. Dave Grohl.
This was
Okay.
around the death of their drummer. And Dave Grohl was saying something about how America's Got Talent and similar kind of shows.
Mhm.
And my apologies as a Dutch person, because quite a few of those shows actually originate from Dutch
Oh yeah.
terrible TV programs. We've foisted this upon the world.
Yeah.
So um, and he said, look, you don't have to be America's next top talent, musical wonder, singing voice, whatever. You can just sing. And what do you think that Bob Dylan or even somebody like Mick Jagger, or they would never have made it in those kind of circles, but they were amazing artists or are amazing artists.
Yeah.
And why don't you just sing? And if you sing every day, you get better at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, let's keep doing this. Let's keep writing songs. Let's keep singing. I took some singing lessons. And at some point, I had a couple songs, and people started saying, hey, this is pretty good. You should bring out an EP. And that was another step. So it went from,
Another
I'm
learning
just going to
process.
noodle a little bit. I'm just this old guy with a guitar and I'll have a bit of fun, to, next step, next step, next. And suddenly I had songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then my singing teacher said, why don't you join an open mic and play your songs live? And what? No, 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 no. I can't do this. No. And then again, this, there was this seed in my brain. Okay, yeah, I could play live.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I joined an open mic and I did a small gig and I did this and the other. And I got completely addicted to it because once you
Oh.
start playing live, and even if it goes badly,
Mm-hmm.
even if you have the worst gig, it still makes me feel okay. I have to go back. I have to rehearse more. I have to
Mm-hmm.
write better songs, and I'm going to do better next time.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than I'm never going to do this again. I always feel I can do better. So
Yes, I
you
love
know,
that. That's
yeah,
so cool. I love that. That's such a neat and like wow. Where do I mean? It's so much. I'm trying to figure out where to begin with that because let's go ahead. Let me start with the American Idol thing where I too fell into this sort of thing where so I volunteered for a music class. I was teaching them how modern day electronics can really help you not only learn music but music production, and so I kind of volunteered in a music class and kind of showed them what you can do on a computer, on a phone, and on a tablet, and kind of show them where you can kind of start, because a lot of them thought, and the teacher was telling me, the kids thought the only way to get into music is to be on American Idol. That's the only way you're going to get
Exactly.
noticed, or and I think we ran into that stigma where it was, you know, we're kind of now in that sort of that zone where you're only famous if you're an influencer or a content creator, da da da. You know, it's like, no, you can just keep doing what you're doing and people will find you. So yeah, I ran in that whole situation where kids thought, hey, and I go, no, 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 no. You can just start somewhere and then just grow from there. Whether you pick up a guitar and, record it on your phone, or pick up some free software on your laptop and stuff like that. So believe me, trust me, I've ran in that
Yeah.
whole situation. Tell me about, what was the artist you were listening to that you went, listen, now I really want to pick up the guitar and I really want to grow as an artist. Were you listening to anybody that really kind of sparked that interest, or was this more like a personal thing? Or both?
Not really, but there are, let's say, two or three artists. So both Prince and Terence Trent D'Arby,
Mm-hmm.
they were famous for having this home studio where they recorded everything. Right,
Cool.
Terence Trent D'Arby on his first album, Introducing the Heartline, he
Mm-hmm.
famously he listed himself as vocals Terence Trent D'Arby, guitar Terence Trent D'Arby, bass Terence Trent D'Arby, production Terence Trent D'Arby. He listed himself 17 times,
Yep.
um, which was a bit arrogant.
Yeah, sure.
But
It's a bit
back
overkill.
then, a bit overkill. But back then, I thought, how amazing must it be to have a home studio and be able to do all these things? And back then, that was completely unthinkable because you would have needed, I think, probably like 10 or 20,000 US dollar, and that was just no way. And
Crazy expensive.
today, as you say,
Yeah.
you can get a free software or nearly free software. Let's say if you spend $1,000, you can probably get a DAW, an audio interface, a mic, a keyboard, and a guitar.
Oh
Some
yeah.
of it will be secondhand, some of it will be a bit meh, but
Mhm.
you can do it, and you can have access to all these amazing things.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Mhm.
So they were inspiration in the sense of, besides being amazing artists, right? In the sense that you can do all these things and one person could do this.
Mhm.
And somebody I very much admire from a musical point of view is, for instance, David Bowie,
Oh yeah.
because he constantly reinvented himself.
Yeah.
Whenever,
Every album.
yeah, every album, whenever the public thought, okay, this is David Bowie, he said, no, 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 I'm going off in that direction.
Yes. Once you think they
Um,
nailed down him, he's going, no, I'm going to another planet now. You know what I mean? Like, I love that about Bowie.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So these are the kind of artists that inspire me from that way. And there are many other bands and artists that I really like. I really like the Rolling Stones, even though they actually had more or less the same sound all those years. But um, I like the energy. I like Rush
Yeah.
for the complicated song structures and the amazing things that they do with the three of them live, or used to do, obviously. Um, yeah, I love soul music.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan of Bill Withers.
Oh
He
yeah.
has these very sweet, nice songs that, if you peel them apart, they're actually quite complicated and quite
Very.
interesting.
Yeah.
Um, some time ago, so when I started playing live, I always wanted to play my own songs.
Hmm.
And then I was talking to my daughter, who is now 21. So she is at the age where she has her own taste in music and a very good taste in music.
Yep.
And she was telling me about, let me think, Jacob Collier. He's a English artist, multi instrumentalist, and he plays these amazing covers.
Hmm.
And that was so inspiring that I thought, okay, obviously I cannot play it at his level, but to have to
Still though.
play a cover
Yeah.
and to have people sing along, that should be fun.
Mhm.
So two of the songs that she showed to me were How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees, and Queen, Somebody to Love. And I practiced them and played them at the next open mic. I played them live, and with both of the songs people started to sing along, but with Somebody to Love, there's this moment where there's the drop, and then everybody, without me prompting them, started singing, Give me somebody to love. And goosebumps. I get goosebumps again from just thinking about it. That was so amazing.
Amazing.
And that also changed my direction a bit into, okay, covers is fun.
Yes.
And I try to mix this in a bit more. And now actually I'm working with a band in London that only play covers. They play it as sort of a party band, and they are so much fun. It's such an honor to play with them. And just before Christmas, we played 2.5 hours live, only covers.
Whoa. Woo.
Yes.
Dude, that is wild.
Yeah.
2.5 hours. Like I couldn't even like, but I mean, in that because that's a lot. I mean, for a musician, that is a long time. That's so great. Tell me
Yeah.
what songs? I mean, just pretty much 70s, 80s, nine. Tell me where you guys were kind of going at when you're playing 2.5 hours live.
Yeah, so yeah, as you said, from basically from every era,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a
Okay.
list. But no, some Beatles songs,
Okay.
some Queen songs, "Toxic" from Britney Spears.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, all kind of yeah, great stuff. I didn't know. I knew maybe 20% of the songs. All the other ones I had to practice. So they gave me this huge list, and for days I went through all of them trying to practice them. Um, I played on keyboard, so
Okay.
I didn't have to learn everything by heart because
Sure.
that would never have worked. So yeah,
I love that. That's
yeah,
so cool. I love hearing things
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So BaoBou, is that just just you as your name on a project? Is that just kind of how you started that name?
Yeah, that's also a bit silly.
Okay.
Okay, so I have this Dutch name,
Mhm.
Boudewijn,
Yeah.
which, if you live abroad, that's always a tough name wherever I went. And I've lived in the Caribbean, I've lived in Greece, I lived in Hong Kong, and everywhere you go, it's a tough name. So I started playing guitar when I was in Hong Kong,
Mhm.
where people called me Bao. And then I thought, okay, Bao Bao. This also, it's sort of a sweet nickname that you would give people. So you would double their name, so Tintin or Bao Bao or whatever.
Cool. That's so cool.
And then I decided to spell it in two different ways because I'm stupid, mostly. Um, what I wanted to have some kind of alias that people wouldn't immediately get back to me. But if I would say, no, but that is me, then they, oh, yeah, yeah, now I get it. Right.
Yep.
So, because I wanted to be somewhat anonymous.
Yep.
And I was posting stuff on SoundCloud, and I was hoping people to just find me and not say, "Oh, you're my friend, I have to listen to you," but "Hey, this is cool, this is nice."
Hmm.
Um, this was 7 years ago when SoundCloud was still quite a nice community and wasn't overrun by bots and trolls and ad companies and whatever.
Yep.
Um, and that it sort of stuck. And then it got worse because I printed my first EP as BaoBou's Music because that was also my SoundCloud name. And then for the second album, I wanted to use BaoBou. And then my distributor, CD Baby, they said, no, 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 you have chosen BaoBou's Music. It
Pick.
has to be exactly the same. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, they're so picky. It's obnoxious. I get that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it's BaoBou's Music. And when I'm on stage, I present myself as BaoBou. But all the albums, all the music are on the BaoBou's Music. So nobody can ever find it. And,
Oh,
that's
yep.
fine.
Yeah. That happens, and it's one of those weird things where, again, when you're going through DistroKid or CD Baby, it's like you're kind of contractually like signed to that's your name now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like so,
Yeah.
but honestly, I think that because I think a lot of people kind of run into that where they add the tag of music and then they kind of run with it. So I think, one of those things where, and not just that, but I think your music's great. And I think you might be able to like find a different sort of distributor at some point and go, I'll go through here instead of just throwing away, throw everything
Yeah.
away from CD baby. So, yeah,
Well, one thing I have sort of in mind is that at some point, if I feel that I reach a certain level, I could sort of throw everything away, start from
yeah,
scratch under a different name, and maybe re-record some stuff that maybe wasn't recorded the best in the past.
sure.
And but there's also one other thing. There's so many band names. Everybody was telling Led Zeppelin that Led Zeppelin was a terrible name and it would never work and they would never take off, right?
Here we are, still talking
Here
about
we
it.
are.
Yeah, I remember watching that documentary, and everyone's, they brought up the fact that Led Zeppelin is a name that, oh, nobody, it's not a good name. It's got, something to do with the Zeppelin, has some bad connotation to, whatever. It's like, no, it's like it. Let everybody knows who Led Zeppelin is. You know what I mean? Like yeah,
Exactly, exactly. And
yeah,
yeah, there's other bands also where you could say Spice Girls. That's a terrible name. Yeah, but they made quite a lot of money. And the Beatles, come
yeah.
on, that's corny. You don't do that.
Pink Floyd. Everybody was like, "Who's Pink?" Like, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
think nobody will ever find that. Well, he's doing quite well.
Yeah, well, if you make a good product, people are gonna find you no matter what.
Well, yeah, exactly, exactly. So I try not to get hung up on that too much. If the songs are good enough, people will find me.
Yeah. Did you get a lot of different influences going from different country to country? Because that's got to be very exciting for you. And did any of those sort of regions inspire you to write songs or write lyrics? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I feel they do. I feel that the Caribbean really gave me a better appreciation for especially Latin music. And although you may not really hear Latin music, I feel that there's in some songs there's sort of a Santana vibe, and that really filters through. Um, in Greece, I really love that they have a more Mediterranean, even Middle Easty kind of vibe to the music. And again, it doesn't really filter through, but I like that you can hear different things, and it all forms inspiration. And weirdly enough, because I started making music in Hong Kong, but the thing that maybe helped is the fact that they have a very different music culture. In the
Sure.
Caribbean and in Greece, you can hear music everywhere you go. Everywhere. There's always there's music in the streets and there's music in the shops and there's people playing live and everybody singing. And then in Hong Kong, all you hear is some silly tunes in the supermarket that are repeated every minute and some stuff in the subway that you really don't want to hear. And there's actually quite decent canto pop culture,
Yeah.
but it is hidden and you really need to find it.
Mhm.
And the bands that play live, there's mostly Filipino and Indonesian bands with amazing musicians, really, really good.
So talented.
But you don't hear so much music, and that I think helped for me to start noodling myself and start making music and making new things. So it helped in a different way by not being there almost.
Right. No, I get that. And I mean, just I've always noticed, with the sort of Asian music influence, they're so like just so talented, and it gets so frustrating because I'll see these videos where they're just like and I'm just like, all right, you just kind of take everything and just throw it. You're like, I can't do this anymore. Like you just see someone just
Absolutely.
totally one up your musicianship, and you're just like, why am I,
Why
but
am I
you just go,
trying? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
just jump right in and go, no, I have to do this. I'm an artist. I got to get this out. Like,
By
it's
the way, I had sort of the opposite with Jacob Collier because I
oh,
also saw him live. I went there with my daughter, and it was so amazing. I mean, he doesn't write the best songs, but his musicianship on stage is so good.
that's cool.
And it sort of freed me up because I was a bit in a phase where I felt it's not good enough. It's not good enough. I need to do better. And when I heard him, I almost felt, okay, that's a level I will never reach. It's fine. I'm free to do whatever I want to do at my level and just enjoy it. And that sort of freed me up. And then I wrote 10 songs in 5 weeks or so. And so that can also help sometimes.
Tell me about your sort of lyric writing process. Are you just more of like a very, in the sense of like more of like a you're kind of digging into this sort of diary or journal type thing, or you just kind of tell me about that sort of songwriting and lyric writing process that you kind of go through. If that makes sense.
Right, right. I have basically two ways of working. Sometimes I have something that I feel really strongly about. It might be a personal situation. It might be a story that somebody told me. It might be something I heard, and I'll write more or less a poem with maybe some music in mind. Maybe I'll sing a little bit in my head, but I will take the poem 1 or 2 days later. I will try to play it maybe on the piano or on the guitar, try to figure out what is the melody that fits with this, maybe change some words to fit better with that melody, etc. So then the lyrics come first and the music will follow.
Right.
But what I also do quite often is the opposite. I will just be noodling on the guitar, on the piano, and I will have a certain riff or some chords or some chord progression or whatever it is. And then I'll record it, and then I will try to sing some words that fit the melody that I have.
Right.
With da 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 da. And I think, okay, what would fit this? Uh, I can talk tomorrow, or no, okay, that's a bit corny. Okay, so tell me about the weather, or okay, I will find some words that say, okay, yeah, that's interesting. So that will be the title, and then I'll save it. And then I think, okay, tell me about the weather. Why am I asking you to tell me about the weather? Probably because something else is going on,
Yeah.
and I don't want to talk about the other things, right? Okay, so what is the story of this particular song? And then I will connect. You have a lifetime of experiences, and it reminds you of this situation. You didn't want to talk about it, and there's this other person that you feel never wants to talk to you, or whatever. And then you try to connect that, and it becomes a story.
God damn, that's awesome. I've never like because I talk to a lot of artists and they don't really put it in that sort of structure. They just go, well, if I'm feeling this, feeling that. But what's funny is that it reminded me a lot of how Paul McCartney would write a song where he would go, he'd kind of have a line, and tell me about the weather, and then he'd go, da 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 da, like he'll kind of scat this sort of melody to it, and kind of keep adding things, and then yeah, I remember watching. It was at the Get Back documentary on Disney Plus, and I watch it every year around Thanksgiving because it came out around Thanksgiving. The first time I watched it, we were cooking for Thanksgiving, and then I was watching it, so now it just became a tradition. But I noticed how his sort of writing process is like that, and then you went da 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 da, and it was just one of those things where I was like, it's right on that same level. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, that really works with me,
That's
and yeah, it's sort of a process where I also it I found this process that works for me, right? So if I have a couple chords, or I have a riff, or I have a melody or a rhythm that really gets me going, I know how to get to the end.
that's cool.
But at the same time, if you always follow the same process, you always end up at the same point,
Right.
right? So I'm also trying to lose that process and see if I can get there in a different way.
Rebuild a new
Because
process. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's
Yeah.
cool. When do you know like when a song is finished? Do you just kind of go, okay, this feels done? Tell me about that sort of because a lot of people will go through and go, is it done? They become such a perfectionist about everything. Tell me about your process when it goes, this is the product.
Right. So I'm ADHD. Most
Just like,
likely, I've
hey,
never
here we
been
go. Yeah.
exactly. I've never
Yeah.
been officially diagnosed, right? But I have many of the symptoms.
Yeah.
So at some point, I just get fed up with the whole thing. And if I get fed up with the song,
Yeah.
then it's not a good song, and I will
Yeah.
just drop it.
Yeah.
But at some point, I feel okay. Now I have to show it to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I want to show it to, and then I think, okay, before I show it to somebody, I need to work on some of the rough edges, because this I need to re-record that bit, and the drums are a bit meh, and I also, okay, and then I can force myself to invest maybe 1 or 2 more days. So okay, next Sunday I'm going to really sit down and really re-record the bass line or do something else, or and and then. I have to stop, because if I keep focusing and on that particular, or obsessing about that particular song, then I won't ever write anything else.
Yeah.
So for me, the danger is that I call it finished too early. So
Hmm.
here's what I've done in the past that sort of makes sure that I do clean up some of the bits. So so the first time I say, okay, that's it, I'm done.
Yep.
I posted on an amateur forum that I really like. It's called
Okay.
Looperman.com, and there's all kind of amateurs that post there. Some are actually semi-pro, some are really amateur. But people listen to each other's music. They react, say, "Hey, this is a nice one. Why don't you have something in the middle? I think you can have a bridge. Hey, you have these two chords that don't really work together." Sometimes it's really good advice, sometimes it's nonsense, but people actually listen to each other,
Yeah.
right? Which
Take
is
the
nice.
time. Yeah.
Right. So um, then what I'll start doing is I'll start making a YouTube video,
Okay.
which was something that, let's say, 5 years ago worked better than now, because I
Right.
don't know if you have the same experience, but I don't feel that YouTube music, or music on YouTube videos, I don't think it gets any views anymore.
Not like what he used to. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but I still try to do that. What I do is I make something quick with some stock footage, and sometimes I will record myself a bit and get that into it. And then before I publish it on YouTube, a couple weeks later, I will go again to my song and maybe look at the mix again and say, "Oh, actually, this is way too loud."
Hmm.
And okay, I need to re-record this, and the ending is stupid. I need to have a different ending, or whatever. There's always bits that you want to change. And then some months later, when I collect songs for an album, because I'm an old man, I still think in albums. I
Yep.
don't
Yep.
really do singles.
Hmm.
I listen again to all of those songs, and maybe I want to fit a little bit more together, or maybe I realized that that one song that I was super proud of half a year ago, it's nonsense. Or maybe I've played it live 12 times in the meantime, and I know that the bit that went down here actually needs to go up.
Okay.
Or anyway, so
Okay.
again, I try to get it to 95%, and I know I will never get it to 100%, and that's fine for me.
Yeah.
So I hope that one day some famous producer will come to me and say, "Hey, I want to work with you and make you world famous," and then we'll do the last bit.
All right. Have you thought about like collaborating with like other producers, anybody who's, a friend, or just doing this sort of collaboration process where you feel like it's like now we're a team?
Yeah, because that was originally idea when I started playing guitar. I thought, okay, I honestly thought this: I will get a guitar, and then I will find a band, and then I'll have loads of fun. What I didn't know, that
The
everybody has a
dream, the dream.
guitar. Everybody has a guitar. So especially when you just started, obviously everybody's better than you. So you cannot find a band where you can going to play guitar. Maybe you can play bass, but
Mhm.
actually there's also quite a lot of good bass players.
Oh yeah,
So anyway, so on Looperman, I've actually worked with other people,
that's cool.
because sometimes people invite, say, "Hey, I have this song. Can you play guitar on it?" Yeah,
Cool.
great. Or I will have something and say, "Can you sing on it?" And so that sometimes works. I've worked with friends locally here. We tried to write a couple songs. He listened to my music. I listened to his music. We help each other. Um, and as I said, so now finally I play in a band. So but they play covers. I don't think they play originals. So you know.
There you go. One song that stands out to me is "Don't Give Me Your Jingle Bells." Tell me about the
Ah,
inspiration for that.
right, right, right.
Yep.
So I detest Christmas music.
Yes,
I
continue. I love it. I
years
already love
years
it.
ago,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, years ago, I worked in a restaurant,
Oh.
and around Christmas time, it was just a temp job,
Mhm.
and they had one CD that they played all day long every day. So
Oh, that would drive me
all
nuts.
of them, I mean, I already wasn't the biggest fan before, but after that, I really detest Christmas music,
Yeah.
which is unfair because there's some great Christmas songs,
Oh, of
you
course.
know.
Yeah.
And so I always had this idea. I want to write the anti-Christmas
Like,
Christmas song. So yeah, I think it was early December,
mhm.
and I had this riff, and I thought, okay, yeah, yeah, Christmas, Christmas, don't give me your jingle bells, and I wanted to have lyrics that sort of reference all these famous songs, and that didn't really work out. But if I say, "Don't give me your Christmas, don't give me your jingle bells," and it's anti-Christmas, you go like, okay, yep, I get it, I get it. So yeah,
Cool.
so that was so much fun to make. Yeah,
Great.
it has loads of energy, and it's
Yeah,
exactly the way I wanted it. It's a bit
I love it.
punk.
It is. I was
Yeah,
gonna say it's like it's the punk direction that you were talking about wanting to go down. That's the
exactly,
first.
exactly.
Yep, that's it. I love that because
Yeah,
here
yeah,
in the U.S. it's the restaurants or retail is when you'll get the overload of Christmas. Now there's
yes,
somewhere there's a playlist, but if you're playing the same Christmas CD over, oh, that would I can see
yes,
why that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And even if they try to do the best, and there's still a limit to the number of Christmas songs that
Right.
are in existence.
Yeah.
So
Oh, I know. And I've drawn to the sort of because I mean my kids they love listening to Christmas music or even just before Christmas even starts around Thanksgiving they're already, especially my youngest one. But I've gone, let's kind of go of I mean, I'm a huge punk fan, so it's like there's a lot of great sort of um like punk Christmas songs, but it's not like the covers. It's just like, hey, let's kind of bring this sort of like punk and Christmas, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah,
yeah,
I think it's great. So, but no, I
yeah.
think that's probably one of my favorites that stands out for sure.
Okay,
Um,
okay. So if you say there's more punk Christmas songs, give me one song that I need to hear where you
um,
say
is it
that's the
you
best.
want to go more along the lines of like the Christmas spirit with the or because there's somewhere. Let me pull up. I got a
Well,
Christmas
to me, punk is sort of the
the
antithesis
anti
of
right.
yeah. So no, I want something that says
Christmas. Let's see. Well, a lot of these are like, let me see. They got from Unwritten Law, Please Don't Come Home for Christmas. Blink
okay,
182 is I Won't Be Home for Christmas. But there are some covers where it's like Weezer, We Wish You a Merry Christmas is okay.
yeah, okay, I know that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Weezer's cool. Yeah, Weezer's cool.
Um, the Suicide Machines did You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
Oh, that
That's a good
sounds amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you'll have to pull that one up, and that's the punk and ska band, the Suicide Machines. They're really good. Um,
Very
but yeah,
good.
there's this sort of like I think you can find it. I think it's on Spotify. It's called Punk Rock Christmas. That's got just all these sort of different. Anyways, we'll move on from there's a Bowling for Soup did I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. So anyways, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's,
I've
it's
heard
just
that
fun.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Great band. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What song really sparked, a lot of people going, "This is my favorite song," and do they say why that particular song really just kind of drew them in? Is there one particular song where it's like everybody's favorite?
So if I look at streaming, the one that does best is "I Don't Miss You."
Hmm.
And what people, when they tell me what they react to, is that it has this almost church organy intro that
Yeah.
then goes into something faster, and people like that atmosphere, and they also like the lyrics because I think we all recognize that I don't miss you. Okay, you know what it means. It means, of course, I do miss you
Yep.
because yeah, but why am I talking
Yep.
about you? Clearly, I miss you, right? So that's something that everybody recognizes. I have another song that always gets people to react when I play it live. When afterwards they will always say, "Hey, I like that one." Um, and it's a song about it's a breakup song.
Mhm.
I'm struggling to think of the title now.
Let me pull it up. Is it on your best of, which I encourage everybody to check out
It
on let me see. Uh, Let me pull it up. There we go. Bandcamp.
uh,
Is it on your
oh,
best of?
tu- tu- tu-
Runaway, Key to My Heart. Uh,
Never want to see you again. Here
Never
we
Want to
go.
See You. I was
Never
just
want to
about
see
to
you
say
again.
that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, so that's it's a slower song and it's very emotional and yeah, that people recognize the
You're
feeling.
drawn to it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, because it's also what I like to do in lyrics is to have two types of emotions,
Yeah,
right? So if the title is really strong, I never want to see you again. But then the rest of the lyrics is actually sort of forgiving, like okay, I understand, but I never want to see you again.
yeah. That's heavy.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
heavy. Tell me about the first time that you played live. I know you said you did an open mic. Tell me about those. Go back to that sort of feeling, the emotions, and what was the first song? Was it a cover song, an original? Tell me about that whole situation.
Yeah, the first one. So my singing teacher had sort of lured me into something where there was this the singing lessons were in a certain building, and the building had a party, and she said, "Can't you sing a song?" And I said, "Okay." And okay, this song is also that's a funny story because she said you need to find a song that you really love, and that's the song that we're going to sing. And I thought, okay, that's a great idea.
Cool. Yeah.
And first, I actually thought about Terence Trent D'Arby.
Mhm.
And then I thought, actually, there is this Greek song that I really love. It's called Ta Savata, of the Saturdays. And it talks about the verse something like, why do you tell me that you love me, but not on the Saturdays? And it's a really weird lyric. It's apparently it's based on the person who wrote the text. He saw a similar lyric on the walls as graffiti,
Mhm.
and then similar to how I take a certain phrase and I will try to turn it into a lyric. He did the same,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful song, and it's always one of my favorite of that particular Greek artist. So I thought, okay, I he has a range that fits my voice. I can sing this. And I brought the song to her and I gave her a translation. I said, I assume you don't speak Greek. And my Greek isn't great, but I know a couple
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
I assume you don't speak Greek. She said, yes, I do. Okay.
Wow.
And then I said, okay, do you know this song? Yes, of course I know this song because every Greek person knows this
Every
song.
Greek person
So
knows it. I love it.
it's amazing. So yeah, so we both had loads of fun singing and practicing that song, and she loved it. She played the piano for me while I sang it.
Oh
I
wow.
was petrified in the words of the famous song. I
Yeah.
had sort of this idea that okay, the first time I play live, I will record myself and I will do this and I would. I don't remember anything.
Just
I
narrow.
completely
Just
froze
like
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I have no idea whether it went well or not. And it
blacked
took
out.
I completely blacked out. But I sort of knew that I wanted to do it again.
Yeah. Get the high from it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And uh, in London, it turns out that there are open mics every day of the week,
Yeah.
multiple on every day of the week.
That's so cool.
So if you want to go somewhere, then you can go almost anywhere. But I still thought it was very scary to do.
Mhm.
So my girlfriend, she often went to a certain cafe to have some sandwich or some coffee or whatever, and they had this amazing thing where they had an electric piano, but hidden inside a table. So if you would come inside, you would just see this table, and then if they wanted to have music, they could fold it open, and then suddenly you had this piano that you could play. It was perfect. It was amazing. And she asked the owner, "Can my boyfriend play some of his songs?" And they said, "Yeah, okay." On a day that it's a bit quiet and that.
Not a
okay.
big
And
audience, everybody's just kind of in their own world, yeah.
exactly. So, okay, so we went there on a Sunday at, I don't know, 11 o'clock, and I started playing. There was one other person who smiled at me and said, nice. And then some more people came in and they still were smiling. And then they asked me to play Happy Birthday, and still everybody was smiling. And I thought, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now a major recording artist. I can do this. And obviously, that was just the beginning. And then you only find out what you have to learn when something goes really wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Those are actually the most interesting gigs.
Mhm.
Um, there was one gig where I hadn't prepared and was trying to do too many things, and because I wanted to play both the guitar and the piano, and I was trying to do way too much. And these are the most frustrating moments,
Mhm.
but they're so educational. You really learn what you need to change and what you need to do better. So, you know,
One of those
yeah,
trial by fire moments where a lot of artists kind of go, it's one of those things like either it'll make you or break you kind of situation where you go, can I deal with the lot of pressure or whatever? And it kind of, I've dealt with just shitty sound guys. I've dealt with, a lot of technical, even when you're performing live, for me, the laptop is kind of the rest of your band in some
yeah,
instances where you need sort of backtracks and stuff like that. And when that goes kaput, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, especially when everything's run on electronics and, I mean, that's just for me for electronic music. I mean, it'd probably be a little easier if I had an acoustic and play acoustic guitar and, which I can see why you were like, let me go with the unplugged where it feels like everything's a little bit more raw, I guess you can say, or
yeah.
where you can kind of just go, hey, I'm picking up a guitar, I'm performing in front of it. Is that kind of what drew you to this sort of unplugged version of yourself, like just where it's a little bit more freeing, a little bit more raw vulnerability?
Yeah, because similar to what you asked about, when is a song finished?
Mm-hmm.
If you also make stuff that's more electronic and where you often you try to add a bit more and add a bit more and add a bit more, but sometimes the trick is actually to subtract things and leave out this bit and leave out the other bit. And so, what do you get when you really only get left with your voice and a piano?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so easy to try to do more and say, okay, yeah, but I also want to have this rhythm, and I want to have this, and I want to have some bass line. But can't you try to do it? Because the best songs in the world, uh, let's say the Beatles or the Stones or David Bowie or uh, Bill Withers, they survive if you strip it down to just you and a ukulele even, right? So if you can do it that way, then probably it was a pretty good song. I also think that's not the full answer, right? Because I have a couple songs that I'm really proud of that I know I will never be able to play live
Mm-hmm.
because it only works with that particular sound. And there are certain things where if you listen to it on your stereo or on your phone or whatever, you have the patience to listen to something repeating, and the repeating gets you into a certain atmosphere or a certain trance, and that works really well. And that's not going to work when you play it live on your guitar or on a piano. It's just not going to work. So it's not always the full answer, but I still believe that by stripping down your song to the basics,
Yeah.
you find core of it. um, On the other hand, and this goes back to what I said, that if you follow the same process every time, you get the same kind of songs. It's also a bit reductive because if all you try to do is write songs that you can play with just vocals and a piano, you're missing out on something
Sure. Yeah.
because there's so many interesting vibes that you can get from a certain sample, from maybe even a vocal sample.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe sounds like your pots and pans, or uh, that there's so much inspiration you can take from other stuff that makes a song much more interesting. Like the Jingle Bells song, I took some drum samples there that really helped the song to gel. So sometimes you need that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. Tell me about what's it like out there in London, where the music scene. Tell me about kind of what the vibe is out there, because I don't know if things are a little different out here in the in the States, where we kind of got uh hot spots, where especially in a major city, where you kind of got um certain groups are kind of gelling together. We got the goths, we got the punks, we got kind of a little punk scene going on here out in Missouri. And then, you go more towards Chicago, and there's these sort of little spots of goth scenes. Tell me about what's it like out there in London right now.
Right. So there is, first of all, there's an amazing music scene, right? It seems there's, I think we have 10 million Londoners, and I think there's at least 11 million guitars. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's beautiful,
that's awesome.
and anything goes. But it because there are so many musicians, it is really hard to get proper gigs for a proper band. So there's Camden Town, where there are several places that have proper stages, and there you can find lots of punk bands and rock bands, and where Amy Winehouse found her first footing, where she became famous. Uh, y- you can still, as an indie musician, become famous from that circuit, from the open mics, the longer open mics, getting small gigs, even playing on the streets, like Ed Sheeran.
Yep.
Um, you can still make it that way, and there's all kind of music. There's lots of British rap and the drum and bass, and it's incredibly inspiring. um, I love that. I now often play these half-hour type of gigs, and usually, so you will play, and there will also be three other or four other artists, and all of them will be different,
Yeah,
and that is so cool.
that is
That
cool.
is so cool. And I've also had the opportunity to host a couple evenings, and be able to invite some people from all kind of different types of music. And yeah, it's very interesting. I miss a little bit of the Latin music that I had in the Caribbean, but okay, you can't have it all. You sometimes see people from Indian background, Pakistan. Let's say they call it the subcontinent, right? India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, that also have different sounds, different interpretations. Yeah.
That's cool. Have you thought about taking your music like out on the road?
I have, and I've even done it to some extent. Whenever I go on a trip, I will also check to see if there's any kind of open mics there.
That's cool.
So but I've not done a gig of the
Proper
UK.
tour. Yeah.
Once I start drawing my own crowds, I will start thinking about this.
There
But
you
I have played in Belgium. I've played in the Netherlands. And by the way, then you start also to appreciate even more. That's I tried to find an open mic in my home country of the Netherlands. And the Netherlands has now something like 18 million people, as opposed to 10 million people in London. So I couldn't I couldn't find any open mic until later. I spoke another Dutch person who said, "Oh, but you need to go to Utrecht on the Sunday, and then there's something there and there." And then finally, I found something. But they're really they don't really do this.
go. Oh, wow.
And yeah, here it seems that every pub
Everywhere.
has an open mic once in a while.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's open mic or karaoke, especially around here. We'll have, so I mean more yeah, I mean more in the cities like St. Louis out here we'll have, the sort of open mics and everything like that, but when it comes to certain venues, they like their sort of genre that sells, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
if you get a
yeah,
little bit more far experimental, you're going to have to go to like more of like an art type gathering type
yeah,
situation. But when it comes to certain ones, it's like rock, punk, that type. Emo is a big one out here. Yeah, we'll have those sort of hot spots out here in St. Louis. So I
yeah.
like hearing what goes on out there. I'm always so curious on what's hopping out in London, or in the Netherlands and everything. That's so cool. I like hearing
Yeah,
stuff.
there's also this amazing jazz circuit here,
Oh,
where
really?
yeah, there's a famous place where they have the best jazz artist, almost on a weekly basis. So that also still exists. But it's something that you probably also recognize, that if you want to make money from music,
Uh,
then you better have a cover band,
yep.
wedding band, etc. That's where the money is. Playing originals is usually not something that makes a lot of money.
I definitely agree.
Unless you are a DJ and you can mix in some of your own songs between the other stuff that you play,
Yep.
then again, DJs also. There's definitely the DJ circuit here where people can, sometimes even make a living.
Yeah. And that's what's great about London is just it's such a hot spot for a lot of original music, and I think it had a major impact over here in the US, Stones, Led Zeppelin, Bowie,
Yeah,
Beatles, even the punks with,
yeah,
Sex
yeah.
Pistols and stuff like that. It's just like I would love to just come out and visit just sometime and just kind of get the whole vibe of the situation. And everybody
Do
tells
it,
me
do it. Yeah.
that if you're on tour, like in the States, they will welcome you, not just with, here's a venue to play, but we'll pay you, we'll feed you, we'll house you. Like I'm always just so envious. I'm like anybody who's a touring artist, just be like, go over to Europe, go over to the UK area. I'm like they will treat you so well compared to what they
Yeah.
have here in the States. It's shocking.
We're nice people.
You're nice people. It's oh man, it's
No,
so
but
funny.
in general, London is a good town for art. My girlfriend makes ceramics and sells them on markets, and this is also something which, it wouldn't be possible anywhere else, I think.
Yeah,
But here you can actually make a living that way.
that's so
As
beautiful.
she's also really good. That helps.
Is there a difference between BaoBou in the studio versus on the stage, or does it kind of go hand in hand? Do you try and
Oh,
bring
that's
like an
such a
extra
good question.
attitude to the stage or anything like that?
That's such a good question. Because in my mind, I'm the same person, right? But the truth is, I'm probably not. And when I'm in the studio, and this is the studio, right? This is it's my home.
Your workspace.
Um, I am the band, and I try to give everybody in the band some space, and I try to make a different kind of music. And when I am on stage, I try to entertain the audience, and I try to see what are they reacting to, what is the mood, are they noisy, are they quiet, do I need to cheer them up, do I need to calm them down, and I try to play with that a bit. Whereas when I'm in the studio, it's all about me. I'm having fun. I'm making everything for me personally, right? If I don't like it, then, but if I'm on stage, something may not be my favorite song, but if I know that Angels by Robbie Williams is going to get people going, then that's what I'm going to play.
Wow, that's great. You said you don't have illusions about fame. What does success actually look like to you?
Success means somebody who after a gig says, "Hey, that was good. Thank you."
Brightens your
That's
day. Yeah.
always so nice to hear, right? Um, what is success is listening back to something that you did 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
where you had already dismissed it in your mind, thinking, and you think, Actually, that's actually quite good.
Yep.
Wow, how did I do that?" That's success for me.
That's
When
awesome.
when you're proud of something that you did, when you can recommend it, when somebody else recognizes, "Hey, yeah, I feel the same. I know what you're talking, what you're singing about." Those are the best moments. Yeah.
And I think like for me would be not just in the sense that people are like, drawn to it, but for me personally, like if I feel like I made something timeless and goes, I can play this on, and even if my kids are like, "Hey, is that you?" Like, it's those moments where it feels like something sinks in, not just personally, but just even the family just goes, "Hey, that's a really great piece of work." You can get
Yes.
people all over the world be like, "Hey, I like that," but if it's like the people that you truly know and love and go, that's a great song, then I think it really sets in for me.
Yeah. I've not achieved this yet, but if my daughter ever says that's a good one, actually, my girlfriend is also very critical
Yeah.
when, and
Aren't
she's
they
very
all?
honest, right? She's very honest, and I
That's good.
appreciate this.
Yeah.
So when she says, "Hey, I like that one,"
Hmm. That's a big up. That's a big up right there.
yes, yes,
um,
yeah.
what keeps you motivated to keep releasing music and just do it so consistently? Like, what keeps you going as an artist? And not just that, but was there a moment where you just went, "Look, I think I'm done with this." Tell me about those moments. What keeps you going versus a moment when you went, "I think I'm just gonna have to stop." You know what I mean? But you obviously didn't because you're still going. But tell me about those two balancing moments.
For me, almost every time after I complete an album,
Mm-hmm.
I feel empty and I feel, okay, this, you know what, maybe I need to stop. Maybe it's taking too much energy. Maybe it's too stressful.
Yeah.
And then usually within a week, I have inspiration for new songs.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I've even announced to somebody, I said, okay, after this album, maybe I won't do anything. Maybe I will sell all my stuff. And then, no, because as soon as you press the button publish,
Yep.
then sort of it frees up my mind, and then new stuff comes out.
That's smart.
That's
So
almost
it's one,
always the same.
so it's one of those things where you're constantly having those moments of creativity and going. Even if I have run into these sort of roadblocks where it's, you know, you sort of your own internal demons or whatever your job takes over too much. You just go, if as long as this is still going with creativity, then this is where I should keep going.
Yeah, yeah. I also I I often tell people about this famous artist, Philip, not Philip Glass, a famous painter
Hmm.
who he started making realistic paintings, and then at some point he didn't paint for 2 or 3 years, reinvented himself, and became an abstract painter.
Wow.
And then again, he stopped painting, didn't do anything for 2 or 3 years, and got a completely new style, which was a bit cartoonish, and was what actually made him famous, what people know him for now. And that when I saw that, it was so interesting because he took the time that he didn't have inspiration as inspiration for doing something completely different.
Yeah.
So whenever people say, "Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure what I need to do. I don't have inspiration at the moment," I always say, just calm down, take it easy, take your time, take your time, because at some point there will be this sound, there will be this melody, there will be this word that suddenly you have to sing this word, this phrase, and then it will come back to you. And that's how it's always happened to me. Whenever I think I'm completely burnt out, or I will never write anything again, then suddenly I know, wait, I need to sit down right now. This I have to play it.
Yep. Do you get like inspiration? Like, most people go, well, I'll go for a nature walk and I'll get inspiration that way. I'll hop in the shower. I'll go for a drive. What's your usual area where you go, I hit this block? Is it just in your downtime, or do you go for the walk around, the streets of London? Tell me about your sort of inspirational rejuvenation moment.
Um, Actually, it's always just sitting down and
Okay.
picking up the actual damn instrument,
Right.
or thinking, hey, I haven't used the drums in a long time. Okay, let me unearth everything. Let's start drumming. And then that always leads to more.
That's cool.
Yeah. So for me, the playing is always, because that's what I used to do as a kid, as
Mhm.
a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old. Then just play all day, and think of new things. And hey, I've never heard this before. And hey,
That's cool because it's like one of those things where I've done that where I'm used to my usual, heavy bass synthesizer type thing, or the sort of drum beat, but it's like almost like put yourself into a new instrument or a new sound, like especially if you're playing with a MIDI controller or whatever,
Yeah.
dive into like a different instrument or a different sound and find inspiration through that sound and go, let me take it from here.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah.
smart. I like that. Um, do you think being a solo creator gives you more freedom or more isolation?
A bit of both, I suppose. And whenever I work with other people, it also gives you a lot of inspiration because they work in a different way. They have different ideas, and that's always interesting to work with, even if you don't agree with their idea or you. I've had I told you about Looperman and how I would work with other people. Sometimes you give people your stems and they use it in a completely different way where you think, yeah, but that's not my song anymore. But then it's still inspiration because you can still listen to and say, okay, that's interesting because that's not what I meant, but yeah, that's still interesting. So, so yeah, sometimes you feel a little bit isolated if you're alone. But this is also one of the reasons that I love going out to open mics and not just to play my stuff, but to listen to other people. What are they doing? Oh, that's interesting. I'd never thought of that. And oh, can you use a guitar in this way? Okay, that's cool. And you know.
I like that. That's cool. Sorry, I'm going through my questions that I wrote down. So, um, do you approach live shows more like storytelling or just more of like a pure musical performance?
I try to stick with the musical performance because at first I try to also tell a bit of stories, and
Okay.
the next song is about this and that and the other thing. And then I found when other people do this, I usually get bored.
Mm.
I was at a gig some time ago where somebody had used way too much cocaine, and they were
Oh,
telling really 2 3 minute stories. Just play the
yes.
music, please.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
So I try to keep it short, and I will say, okay, the next song is about this, but I try to let the music play speak for itself. I think that's more interesting.
What do you see as your sort of not just your dream performance, but your dream venue? Where would you love to play? Where would feel like da 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 da, everything's perfect, and not just that, but like, do you want to be with a band or do you just want to keep being a solo act up on stage? Like, tell me about your sort of dream and your vision from here on out.
Right. So what I really enjoy is if there's a real stage, if there's
Mm.
real lighting, if there's real sound. Uh, that the places that I play, they don't always have this, right? Sometimes you play. I've played just in front of the bar
Yeah.
with some people over there, some people over there, but you're just staring at the bar, which is stupid. But if there's a real stage, if there's a real audience, that is so inspiring in itself. So there's this organization in London that organizes these kind of gigs for indie artists, and they are a bit predatory, right? They push you to sell tickets, and it's all a little bit too much. And I've also heard stories that they don't always pay out the proceeds, etc. But there's a real stage, there's real sound, there's a sound guy who knows what he's doing, there's real lights, there's a doorman, there are real fans, and that is so good. So that's the kind of gig that really gets me going, that gets the best out of me. And the more you can do those kind of gigs, and the more people, and the better. And I think the biggest crowd I've ever played for it was 50 or 60 people. So you
Nice.
know,
That's all right.
if we can keep increasing this, then
There you go.
that would be lovely. And if not, then that's also fine.
That's
With
fun.
this band that I've now played with a couple times, if we can do some more pubs and weddings and parties and get people dancing and get people happy and see them smile, and
That's what's
that's
important.
the power of music.
I think so too. And it's, you kind of run into these snags a little bit because I've tried to do where they'll do like a festival where they'll have this sort of big lineup, but they had two separate stages. This was like in a sort of like a art, kind of an art setup where it was like there was an sort of art museum up here and then art down here, but they set it up like a music venue and there was upstairs and downstairs. And so the problem was both of us are playing at the same time. So then it's like, there's some people who are upstairs going back downstairs, some are, and it's very distracting. And I think that was one of those performances
Yes.
that drove me mad because I was like, why can't it just be one artist at a time and have everybody cultivate to that one instead of one competing against the other, especially with whatever style or however loud they were playing. It just drove me
Yeah.
mad. It drove me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's terrible. Yeah.
yeah. Um, let me see. Where I mean that's kind of the usually how I kind of do the last question is kind of where you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. Does that seem pretty much where you want to be, hoping to see where you're playing in front of more people, you're kind of gathering an audience and just kind of having this sort of following musically, right?
It's funny because somebody asked me the same or
Hmm.
a similar kind of question. And what I said was, I want to be in 5 years or even in 2 years
Yeah.
in a place where I say, wow, I would never have guessed this.
Mm.
And that's actually where I am right now, right? 5 years ago, if you would have told me, oh yeah, but you will play regularly in front of 40, 50 people, and you will play with a band, and you will play comfortably with the piano and with the guitar, no, 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 that's not going to happen. No,
Right.
or you will have six different albums and 50 songs on streaming. Stop lying. That's never going to happen,
Even
right?
you surprise yourself, your past self. You just
E-
go, hey, by the way, here's what's going to happen in the
Exactly.
next 5 to 10 years, and you go bullshit.
Bullshit. That's right. So if that's where I am again in 5 years, where I go, okay, that's yeah, wow. Then then I'll be happy.
I love that. That's great. And you last question, what words of advice do you have for anybody who's kind of in their sort of beginning stages of being an artist and trying to find themselves and learn everything? What words of advice do you have for anybody who's listening in kind of in the beginning stages of their sort of musical journey or even just the artistic journey in general?
Yeah, I always tell people do it. Do it often, do as much as you can. It's both harder than you think and much easier than you think. But you really have to just start doing it. Sometimes you have people who say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I would like to play guitar." That's not how it works. There's no guitar fairy. So what you need to do is you need to go to the store and get the cheapest guitar that you can find or the one that you can afford, and then start playing every day. And if you want to learn how to sing, then you have to sing every day.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn to play the drums, then you need to get a drum kit and a freestanding house and neighbors that are dead, preferably. And you need to play every day,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because that's the only way to get there. And then all these things that you think, oh, but what about this and what about it? All of those are all solvable. And then you will figure out that actually the really difficult thing is that you didn't know how to tune your guitar. But that probably won't stop you in the beginning. And what you didn't know about the drums is how many different sounds you can make on one cymbal. But that doesn't really matter. You will figure this out later. And when you start recording, you need to understand that you shouldn't record too hot and that you need to turn off the air conditioning and that you need to dampen all your room and but you don't have to know this in the beginning because you can just have fun and do it.
Yeah.
But if you never do it, you will never learn.
Exactly. And you should be willing to take risks too, because I know most people
Exactly.
go, oh, I'm too nervous to get up on stage. I don't want people to see this or know my true feelings. It's like, no, if you really have that urge, I take a risk, step over that line, be willing, and
Yeah.
you're going to realize not just the sort of nervousness and the anxiety you have, but then the high that you have right after going, I performed in front of people. People clapped, people cheered, people loved my
Yeah.
songs. Like there's
Yeah.
that beauty in the risk for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody hears this who wants to go to an open mic but is too scared, these open mics, they are so welcoming. If you forget your lyrics, people will say, Don't worry," and they will clap for you and give you time to recover. And And if you tell them I'm nervous because it's my first time, they will be extra happy for you.
Mhm.
And if you are maybe you're a bit different person, maybe you have a different look, don't worry, people will accept you because we're all musicians and we know what it feels like. And yeah, that's always amazing to me.
We all know the struggle of the beginning going, am I ready to present this to the world?
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Bao, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You've been an amazing guest to have on. And yeah, I encourage everybody to check out your Bandcamp. I will post your main website in the description.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube, streaming services, everything like, and follow you on Instagram. Um, is it just Instagram and like Facebook?
Instagram threads and that's I don't have TikTok, but yeah, those are the main things.
Cool.
And the Apples and Spotify's and Bandcamps, etc.
Perfect.
Justin, thank you very much. It was super
No
fun
problem.
to do.
Thank you so
Great
much for your time.
questions. I loved
Yep.
it.
Thanks.